Page 32, Scherzo. I skipped a bunch of pages in there where they're talking about technique and all kinds of wonderful stuff. I'll just briefly cover them here. This is one of the reasons you really need a teacher, because they can explain things and demonstrate things and really check you on it. So you can do the reading exercises they give you and all the other little things. They talk about the key of D minor. Well, we had F major's 1 flat. Well, D minor has 1 flat. It's the relative minor to D or to F major. So you might want to go do my scale video on D minor. So when I do the scales, I do it by key signature. So it's like if I'm going to do the F major scale, I'll also automatically do the D minor scale too, because it's in the same key signature. That's how I do it. You do it any way you want, but that's what. And the primary chords for D minor, which is here. Just remember, there's a B flat, the 4 chord, and use the C sharp here. There's no C sharp in D minor, but we're using the harmonic minor, and that does use the C sharp. I explain it in the scale video. Go do that. They have a reading exercise. You can do that if you have any questions. You're free to ask me. On page 28, they cover a little bit about technique. So I have a real problem here, and this is one of the main reasons you need a teacher, is I can't really teach you technique per se because it doesn't work. You see, I can describe the technique, I can demonstrate the technique, and you can try and do what I'm talking about and what I'm showing, and you can get it completely wrong and not know it. And that's the problem. You need a teacher there to help you with your technique on that. So good luck with the technique. I explain some technique in the scale videos. That's about as far as I go. On the technique they're covering here is really more having to do with playing the scale, like the F major scale. You have to pass the thumb under the. I cover all that in the scale videos. I encourage you to do that there. Now on page 29, they're introducing you to 6/8 time signature. Oh, this is going to be fun. Well, if you know what the numbers mean, there's no big deal. The top numbers, how far you got to count, or how many beats in a measure. There's 6 of them. We got to count to 6. Oh, goody. And the bottom number tells you what you're counting, because if you're going to count something, it's nice to know what you're counting. We're counting eighth notes. That means an eighth note gets a beat. In the past, it's always been quarter note. Now it's an eighth note, and this is going to be interesting. So you think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all of those are eighth notes. Well, if you'll remember the relationship of one note to another is not too bad. Remember, I told you already, a dotted half note's the same as 3 quarter notes. Just drill that in. Well, a dotted quarter note is the same as 3 eighth notes. Just drill that in. Well, in 6/8 time, it comes in handy because an eighth note gets a count, so a dotted quarter note's going to get 3 counts, because a quarter note gets 2. Well, dotted half note gets 6 counts. It's the whole measure, and it all kind of works out. Let's look at Scherzo here at the beginning in the right hand. They're all eighth notes. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this fun. And for the most part, that's what it is in the right hand here. Occasionally you get a dotted quarter note. That's worth 3 counts. Look on page 33 in the first line, last measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That G, hold it down for 3 counts. Okay, big deal. Look at the left hand, it's a little more interesting. You get the eighth, those weird looking things, those are eighth rests. So it's 1, 2, 3, got a rest. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. You got a 1 chord, a 4 chord, then a 1 chord, a 5, 7 chord. This fun. Now a dotted half quarter note. Hold that down for 3 counts and then go on. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. And suddenly 6/8 time ain't so bad anymore. Now I don't know if I've talked much about natural accents or not. I can't remember what. But music has natural accents associated with it. You feel it. They happen naturally. The strongest natural accent is always the first beat of a measure. Period. That's just, you can count on that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're in 2/4 time, 1, 2, 1, 2. If you're in 3/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the first beat of a measure. 6/8 time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. You feel it. So here it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's other natural accents besides the first one. The first one's the strongest. After that would be the middle of the measure. In 2/4 time is the third beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. First one's the stronger, and the other one's not. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. So you basically you're feeling it in 2. Now 6/8 time you can actually feel it in 3 in some cases, but most of the time you're going to feel it in 2. That's why the eighth notes are beamed the way they are. They're beamed according to how you're going to feel it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you got to feel these. You got to get to know the music first, so you're not thinking about notes and all this junk. And you get into the music and you'll start feeling. That's the whole idea there. So the eighth notes are beamed in 3s because that's how you feel it. That's where the natural accents are falling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the whole idea. They could have beamed all 6 of them together. They could have connected all of them. They could beam them 2 eighth notes at a time if you want it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Depends on how you want to feel it. It depends on the piece and what it needs. That's all. So in this, the note-wise, it's really not a problem. You're starting here. You got primary chords in their left hand. And when you get down to the bottom of page 32 in the last measure, you switch to F major. You're here. Because now these are the primary chords for F major. Now remember, D minor and F major have the same key signatures, so they didn't change key signatures. You're still B flats. You're just in the relative major. And then in page 33, second line, you go back to D minor. I mean, they got little notes in the music to tell you this. This book is doing that. Normally music wouldn't do that. By playing it and listening to it, you can realize you're changing to a different key. So you can feel this and this. The keys sound different. F major and D minor sound different. You can hear this difference. You might not know what key you're in, but you'll know you're in a different key. Then on the third line on page 33, the first, and then you're coming up. You're just coming up an octave. You're just doing it up here. You're playing the same thing you had. You're just playing it up here. And then at the last measure of the fourth line there, they have that both hands 8 VA. So that means you're going up another octave. We want to hear this top part. Right? Then in the last measure, the left hand gets that last note. That high D way up there, just reach. Don't lean. Just turn your torso and reach. Now, if you have a short keyboard and you can't have those notes, you just go as high as you can go. That's fine. You may not be able to do that 8 VA. And that's okay if your keyboard isn't that big. That's fine. Now, articulation-wise, they don't give you any. It just flows. But I suggest you add the phrasing in. It doesn't tell you to, but I suggest you do. And you can generally follow the words, the sentences, like in the second line there on page 32. Before you go to the second measure there, that's a new phrase. So you lift up. So you can feel, and anywhere else you get that nut on page 32, last line, the second measure, lift up. You gotta lift up anyway, you gotta move your hands, but here it's like a new phrase. phrasing here, just add it in. Then in the dynamics, they've got a little bit of dynamics going on. They're starting with moderately loud at the beginning. That's the melody. Keep these chords soft. You'll have to decide what moderately loud is. It's sort of loud. Then when you get to the second line, second measure, the next phrase, this measure is really soft, very soft. That means the left hand has to be super soft. And then all of a sudden you're very loud. The left hand can get louder, but keep that under the right. And now you come back down to moderately loud. I don't like the idea of that very loud in there, but that's what they did. I would bring that down to maybe a loud. Then the last measure of that page is moderately loud again. And then on page 33, second line, it's soft. It's not very soft, it's just soft. And then on the third line, second measure, you're back up to moderately loud. That's the melody. And then the next line, last measure, now you're loud. You're staying there. Just get to know the piece so you can start feeling it. When you can start feeling the music, it'll give you a better idea on how loud to play something. As far as speed goes, andante moderato, see this is a little misleading sometimes. Andante moderato is the slow side of moderate. Moderate's in the middle somewhere. It's sort of on the slow side of moderate. The problem is when you talk about tempo of a piece, you may or may not be talking about the beat. The idea with the tempo of music is the overall feel and flow of the music itself. And a lot of that has to do with what's in the music. So if I had a fast piece of music and it just had a bunch of quarter notes in it, I could probably play it fairly quickly. But if I had a fast piece of music and it had a bunch of eighth notes in it, I would not be able to play it quite so quickly because I got more to do in there. So my fast is going to come down a little bit. Well, when you get a piece like this, the beat, how fast would the beat be at moderately slow or slow moderate? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Is that it? Or maybe that's too fast or whatever. So that's what you. I mean, if you were going to sing it, how fast would you sing it? Much. If you want the flow of the piece to be generally in the middle, on the slow side of middle, how's it flow? To me, that's more like. So it's a personal thing on speed. If you have a teacher, they'll tell you what they think you should do, and you just do that and be gone with it. But eventually you got to figure it out for yourself. Now at the end of the piece there, the last two lines on page 33, at the end of next to the last line, it says accelerando poco al fine. That means gradually get faster, accelerando, little by little to the end. So you're up here, you just start going fast. You just keep speeding up to the end. Don't speed up too soon because then you got nowhere to go. So take your time speeding up. But that's the way they're doing it. So I can't help you much on the speed. It's just my opinion or somebody else's. I have a different opinion. It's a personal thing. Get to know the music and how do you feel this? Dynamics they put in there, but that's what they did. Now, you got some nasty hand motions going on here, so watch out. You may have to practice those. Take a look at the bottom of page 32, going from the second measure to the third measure. You hear? Now we got to go to here. So what I suggest you do is go ahead and move the right hand up while you're holding that down. Go get your right hand in the way or in place, and that way you only have to deal with the left hand. So your right hand's there. So we do this, you might have to practice that. Trying to do both at the same time, I mean, that's kind of fun, but it's dangerous. So you try and do that if you can. And then on page 33, third line down, then you got to come up here an octave. Both hands. You may have to practice that. What I typically do is I simply put in an eighth rest. So I change that dotted quarter note to a quarter note and an eighth rest. And that gives me an eighth rest. 1, 4, 5, 6. And then I can move up on 6. Because otherwise you got to do it really quick. 4, 5, 6. Doesn't work very well. So you can do that too. Then on the next line, when you go up another octave, you're going to go up to here. Same thing. Just change that dot to an eighth rest and then use that to move up. But that's fine. You got my permission. Go for it. Now at the end, the last measure, they put pedal on that. I don't know why. Whatever. I'm not going to show the pedal. I'm not even going to use the pedal here. I didn't use the pedal anywhere else. Why use it here? I don't understand why they want to use pedal on the last measure only. You could finger pedal it, simple enough, by simply in the right hand rather than 1, 3, 5, do a 1, 2, 3 here and hold them all down. After you play them, hold them all down. And the left hand just stay and hold that down. That's really what the pedal's going to do, sort of. So you could do it that way too. In lieu of, if you don't have a pedal and it's not working, that's what you would do. You would finger pedal it. You get this, basically the same effect. However, I'm not going to leave pedal out. So let's do this together slowly to double check the notes. I don't think the rhythms are a problem, but check the notes. I'll give us 6 counts because there's 6 beats in a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, go. 6. Five, 6. 6. 6. 6. 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, off.